Hello, dear viewers. Good afternoon. I am Nazarene. For some time now, I've been leading a whole lot of young people on the journey towards living a fulfilled life in purpose and to discover that they have potentials to lead both their lives and in turn to lead other spheres of their lives and the society. A little wonder, I've decided to strategically focus my attentions on youth leadership, strategic moves, and development of the young people in becoming whom he or she is meant to be. And this afternoon, I want to quickly look at a little concept that has been a burden in my heart for quite a long time. I've always talked about the mindset. Little wonder some persons fondly call me Mr. Mindset, as the case may be. But this afternoon, we don't just want to just carry on with the euphoria of being addressed as Mr. Mindset. I want to talk to you. I want to quickly call your attention to something very much important. A lot of persons out there are victims of one circumstances or the other, but the worst situation to be a victim to happens to be being a victim of your own mind builders, your own mindset, the way you perceive things, the way you see things in life. From the beginning, God intended us to look beyond the things we see. As a matter of fact, He didn't want us to dwell so much in our past and keep pondering on what the past was, the experiences that the past gave, which are so ugly, nothing to write home about. Little wonder we have our eyeballs at the front, not at the back, because He wanted us to keep looking forward, keep looking ahead, forget about the past, forget about the things that happened in the past. In fact, He assures us in His word. He says, do not think about the past things. That's the book of Isaiah. I'm paraphrasing now. It says, I will do a new things, and you will know it. It will be very glaring to your own very sight that I will cause rivers to flow in the desert. Of course, the desert is quite characterized with lack of water. I said, in the wilderness, I will make paths, broad paths where you can walk through. I've spoken with a whole lot of young people in the course of mentorship and counseling and other general programs, virtually and offline. And one thing that has been predominant or prevalent, and that's the fact that some have this understanding that they are never do well. When I talk about young people, I do not mean people within age 0 to 12 or 18. As a matter of fact, everyone who chooses to be addressed as a young person will actually be a young person if only you can capture and conceptualize yourself being so young, because your oldness, to use that word in quotes, or youngness in quotes, is a function of what you perceive of yourself. Are you young at heart? Old at heart? You will see an 80-year-old man walking, thinking gallantly, taking decisions, making strategic moves as though he was in his 20s. And you see a man at 45, 48 or 50 at most, and all of his thought patterns, the way he perceives life is entirely like a man close to the grave. Function of your mindset. And I want you to know that your mindset or our mind builders culminates together to give birth to the kind of life we live. In fact, what your life is now happens to be the baby that this mind has given birth to. I want you to understand that even when the scripture says in the book of Romans chapter 12 verse 2, this be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That was Paul the Apostle speaking to the Roman community at this time. And then he says that beyond all the national transformations, beyond all that the government of the day could actually bring, and beyond all that the traditional rights could afford, that a man who is in and wants to record daily transformation, which will give birth to a generational transformation, it begins first with a transformation of the mind that is a resultant effect of a daily renewal. And if you will record and witness transformation in different aspects of your life, then you must commit yourself to renewing the mind every day. Yesterday's renewal is not sufficient for today's task and today's expectation. Life comes every day and then it offers us with different demands, different expectations, and so it becomes our own duty to tune, format, and get our minds in tandem with what the time demands. It doesn't matter what is happening to you at the moment. It doesn't matter what happened in time past. Remember, like I told you, God is not so much interested in having you dwell in the past. He wants you to move forward. So your eyeball, always remember the analogy I gave you. The eye is looking forward. He didn't put it at the back. So dwelling in the past will only stop you from being where you are supposed to be today. In fact, if you keep dwelling on the picture of yesterday will destroy what today should be. And if today has been hampered, today will also hamper tomorrow, and the cycle goes on and on and on. Have you thought about the few confessions you make? Have you thought about the few things that happen because of some circumstances that come by, and all you confess is the fact that it's full of impossibility? I don't think I could pull through here. I may never do well. Life is just hard. Things are unfavorable. Those are little kind of glaring realities. But I want you to know that there is a reality beyond all of those things. Those are just circumstantial situations that we are orchestrated either by an alteration in the configuration of time. Economy could change and demand could also increase. But do you know that you are a product and a seed of eternity? The software that runs you, the economy that sustains you, it happens to be that which is beyond the circumstances, and as such, it is not a function of time and chance. That is why the scripture says, let the weak say, I am strong. He understands. He knows you are weak. In fact, he can see you weak. God knows you are so tired. He knows you are poor at the moment, poor of Nigerian currency, the US dollars, the euros and the pounds. He knows you are poor of that at the moment. But he says your affirmation and confirmation and testimony and confession should be, I am healed though you are sick. I am rich though momentarily no money. I am strong though momentarily you are weak. You know why? That is because that happens to be your sphere of reality. All these other things, we are functions of ephemerals. They are temporals, and the things which are temporals, the scripture says, they do not last. But the things that are eternal are the permanent ones. And your reality, which is what God says about you, happens to be permanent. All of these things we are given to some elements that alter them. And if you don't discover a system and a technology in God, in a split of seconds, everything will turn around. Can I tell you that your life is just a change of mindset, mind away from where you are actually meant to be? Where you are now is not actually the destination. There is a mountain top, there is a height you could get to. I speak to everyone in different spheres of life. You find yourself as a student. I tell you, you are actually in for the best. Our lives are being fabricated by God. It's like He is trying to weave a masterpiece kind of artwork that anyone that looks at it in the time to come when He is done with you, they will marvel that we have never seen such work of art before, because of where He's taking you to and where He intends you to be. I want to charge you, I want to encourage you. Your life is bigger than the things that happened yesterday. Is bigger than the things happening to you now. You are bigger than time. You are bigger than circumstances. You are bigger than what anyone says about you. And as a matter of fact, do not define your life by what people say about you. You must know what God says about you, who you are in God. If you do not know who you are, people will tell you who you are not, and you will attempt to believe them. God says you are the head and not the tail. And in attempts to make sure He brings this into reality, in the beginning, God began to create man. And of all the things He created, He chose to create you and I in His image and in His likeness. And the implication of that is because He actually wanted the man to become an express reflection of who God was. Of course, if you date back to who God is and was and is to come, you will realize there are no impossibilities, there are no facts of failures, there are no forms of defeat, and that is why He chose to create you and to project you from eternity into time, so you can frame and give an expression to that particular dimension of His. And then the second part says He created us in His image. Why? So that as people look at you, as they look at us, they can see an exact replica of the image of the invincible God. Your life, like I said, is bigger than what you think. Your life can actually get to the full potentials of what God intends to achieve and accomplish through you. Yesterday I was talking with one of my students, and the student was so much concerned about the fact that things weren't going on well, and this student have decided to accept the fate that life offers. After all, I will never do well. I do not think I was meant for the top. I do not think things work out well. In fact, the student said, we are here on earth, God is in heaven. So God has abandoned us and has left us here on earth for us to fend for ourselves. Thank God for wisdom to change that mentality and that mind builder to understand that God never abandoned us. As a matter of fact, He set us forth so we can live full expression of who He is and what He intends to accomplish through the race of humanity. And wherever you are listening, here in Africa, beyond Africa, and any part of the globe, I want you to come into that understanding that God is telling a story with your life, and when He is done with this masterpiece story, everything will be glaring before human society. It will look like a great work of art in the greatest museum that ever existed. I charge you and encourage you. You only need is to imbibe the growth mindset. Though you are not good at it now, you can always become good at it with the process of time. Do not be given to the fixed mindset that tells you this is who you are and that is all you could be. You can be bigger than that. You are not a seed of time. You are a seed of eternity, projected from eternity into time. You dwelt with God first before He sent you forth, and your life will actually give a greater expression of what He intends to do. Thank you so much for staying by and viewing through this podcast. I trust to make it a periodic release and with different other concepts and interesting topics that we'll get to discuss. So kindly drop comments and recommendations when you get to view this video. Thank you. I'm your favorite uncle, Nazarene. See you next time. Have a great day.